In this video we're going to look at moving from the old classic mode Windows toolbar in your copy of Word for Windows to the new MultiDocs toolbar and system. We're not going to look at using parameters or moving old documents in this video. This is just getting started with the new MultiDocs system. Before we do that, let's make sure we're using the correct toolbar. So if I fire up Word at the moment and create a new blank document, at the moment I've got the FFX Classic toolbar loaded. Yours, depending on how old your installation is, yours might just say FFX, but it's going to have a limited number of buttons that will say much the same things as these, even if it's an old version of the toolbar. To use MultiDocs we need to use a new toolbar, which is now the FFX toolbar. So we'll shut down Word, start up any of the FFX products. I'll choose FX Draw. Go to the Help menu and Manage Word Integration, and at the moment we have the Mathematics Classic integration turned on. Let's turn on the MultiDocs and turn off Classic. You can technically have both loaded, but we don't recommend it. If you've got both loaded, it just is a recipe for confusion. So we've integrated Word correctly, and we'll now fire up Word. You have to restart Word for it to load a new toolbar. That's an important aspect of Word. So we now have just the FFX toolbar rather than the FFX Classic toolbar, and it looks quite different. There's lots more buttons, and importantly at the moment a whole heap of the buttons are disabled. The new toolbar enables and disables buttons depending on what you're trying to do and where you're trying to do it. Some people get to this point and say, I can't use any of the products because the toolbars are disabled. The new system is different. In the old classic mode toolbars, you didn't have FX Draw, for example, open. You opened it from the button inside Word. In the new MultiDocs toolbars, you have to open any products you need before you use them. So what we'll do is we'll open up FX Draw and FX Equation, which are the two that mostly you will be using for MultiDocs. So we've now got those two products open on our screen. And now when we go back to our document and change the selection, and you have to change the selection, it only updates the toolbar when you change selection, you'll now see that FX Draw and FX Equation are available. So they're in my toolbar down or the taskbar down the bottom, and they are available to be used from inside Word. So that's the first crucial difference. To use the new toolbars, if I want, for example, an FX Draw diagram, so I'll create, this is some text, and I now want to put in an FX Draw diagram. If I have FX Draw open, which I must have FX Draw open in order to have access to that button, if I push that button, FX Draw comes to the fore and I can draw my diagram. So I'll draw a triangle. Just like in the old system, I click on the green check mark button and that returns my graphic back to my Word document. I'll do a second one. So again, the FX Draw button, click on that, draw this time a rectangle, click on the green check mark, and that will pop in. A crucial difference between the two versions, the old classic mode and the new MultiDocs mode, is the graphics are now transparent, which we could never do in classic mode. So that allows a bit more flexibility. So I've added some FX Draw diagrams. Let's add an FX equation. So I'm in my line of text. I push the FX Equation button to insert a new equation. FX Equation comes to the fore and I type the function that I'm after, or the equation I'm after. So I'm going to do c squared on 3. Click on the green check mark, and now my equations appeared in my Word document, and I'll have a second equation. So again, click on FX Equation to create a second equation. FX Equation pops to the fore and allows me to type in 5x squared take 4 and the green check mark, and that pops in. So I now have a little document where I've created an FX equation, or two FX equations and two FX Draw diagrams. you'll notice there's still a lot of disabled buttons up here. Some of them are to do with the new parameter system, which is not the focus of this particular video. But the edit button is something we're going to want to use. So I'll select something to edit, in this case the FX draw diagram, the triangle. If the edit button has become activated, if I click on that, FX draw will, the computer will switch to FX draw, and FX draw will load the particular graphic you want to edit. In this case a triangle, so I'll make a small change, add a circle, and click on the green check mark to return, so it's very similar, and the new graphic appears in my document. I can move it around. I can go and edit the other FX draw diagram, and you'll see that slight delay as it loads it, but once it's loaded you can edit it. You'll find that the new system is significantly faster than the old classic mode system, mainly because FX draw and FX equation are already open on your screen, and the old system, part of the reason it was slow was because it was always opening and shutting down FX draw and FX equation. So there's my second graphic returned. Let's edit an equation, so select, edit, there's my new equation, or my equation loaded, make my modification, and it's already back in my diagram. So similarly, edit that, 5x squared take 4, and we'll do the square root of 5x squared take 4. Click on the green check mark, and it's back in my equation, in my document already. Basic usage. The important things are, first, you must make sure you're using the right toolbar. Second, to use any of the products inside your Word document, you have to open the product first. So in my case, I've opened draw and equation, which are the two that you'll normally need for a mathematics document. Third, the buttons only become active when a particular option is available. To insert a new diagram, I click on the appropriate button. To edit an existing diagram or graphic, I click on the thing I want to edit and push the edit button. All the other buttons on this toolbar are really there to support f of x parameters and MultiDocs. We'll look at those in other videos, but that should get you started with basic usage.